Okay, so this is the first lesson in leadership, and leadership happens through various different perspectives, and you have to keep various different perspectives in mind before you enter into a meeting and really think about the person that you're trying to lead, or even the group of people that you're trying to lead. Whether it's an individual or a group, you will have to think through about how you're going to lead them, and why would they listen to you. So there are a couple of perspectives that I learned that completely blew my mind, which allowed me to lead at a very high level in my company and also in my day-to-day life. In my interpersonal relationships, I tend to be the guy who is the leader. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing with you what perspectives to have to effectively lead. The first thing that, the first lesson here is something that I learned from Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is that the only way you can get someone to do something is by making them want to do it. Because you are not in control of their bodies. You're not in control of their life, and you should not assume that kind of control. And this is a mistake that I made early on in my life, that I felt like, oh, I control this person and they're going to just take my command as I say it. But that's not the case. I don't have them on a gunpoint. I shouldn't. And I don't really have control over their life. They have control over their life, and they're independent, free, sovereign individuals who have high intelligence to them. So I have to assume that they're intelligent people, and my communication is going to be different. If you look at Christopher Nolan movies, this is something I noticed, that he doesn't dumb his movies down. He assumes you are intelligent, and the movies make you feel intelligent. So that's one element that I learned recently, because I would catch myself dumbing myself down too much. You want to make it simple, but you want to assume that that person that you're talking to, you don't have any control over them, and they're intelligent people. So that's one perspective you want to have. And the second thing you want to understand is that the only reason this person is going to move from point A to point B is if you can make them want to do it. They will make an independent choice to take that course of action that you suggest. And that happens inside of a context of a future. Again, this is a third or fourth perspective, is that there is a future. There is something that they can get out of performing that option that caters to their needs, their desires, and their well-being. Not yours, their well-being. So it's an action that you're directing someone to take that's in their interest. And that's the only reason why they will do it. And if it's not in their interest, you should not be leading them in that direction, because it's going to blow up in your face when they take that course of action and what you said, doesn't happen. And then this thing is going to blow up. And you do it over a course of a lot of people, and you're in trouble. The whole crowd will turn against you. You don't want that to happen. So you want to make sure that the direction that you're leading the person is actually in their interest. And there is another quote that I want to give from a book that I read called Collier's Letter. It's a copywriting book. It's a marketing book. And he said, you have to tie the interest of the other person to your interest. So somehow this direction that benefits them has to also benefit you, and your interest is aligned. This future should be well packed to meet your needs of the hour and their needs of the hour. If it doesn't truly, in an honest sense, accomplish these goals, it would not work long term. And if it doesn't work, if it doesn't benefit you, you shouldn't do it either. Because A, it's taking your time. B, you're giving something for free, and it doesn't benefit you. You just exhausted your life energy. That's you're not gonna have you would not have time at one point in your life. Your time will run out. So you have to be careful of how you manage this resource. So if you're giving something, you're giving your time and energy to someone to lead to a future, it has to have benefits for both the parties. So the leadership is happening in the context of a future that's mutually beneficial, and the direction that you're asking them to take is towards that future. So before you even enter the meeting, before you open your mouth, before you're having an important conversation where you are expected to lead someone from one place to another, you will have to write down what exactly is that future, both in terms of a long-term outcome, and this thing that you want them to do is a short-term outcome connected to the long-term vision. So even outcomes, even the futures are of various degrees. You want them to do something that's going to affect the next 1 week. But that week is in the context of accomplishing something over a couple of months. And those couple of months is a milestone you are accomplishing, which is in the context of the next 5 years. So all of this is connected. If all of these are not connected, then it's not going to work. And this again obviously depends on the relationship that you have. Some relationships are short term, some relationships are long term, some are short term contracts, some are long term contracts, and you have to create a compelling future, whether it's short term or long term, irrespective of how long the relationship is going to last. Some relationships are short term, some are long term. So you have to create a compelling future that you are aligned with, and you have to take an honest look at it. Is this really going to benefit the person? Is it really in their interest? And you have to take it a hard look, not just from your perspective, from their perspective. And another great quote from Chris Voss, who wrote the book Never Split the Difference. It's one of the greatest books in negotiations and also leadership. He says that you don't lead people from where you are, you lead them from where they are. So to understand their position, to understand their interests, their needs, their concerns, their fears about taking that action and about what they want overall in life is absolutely critical, because that's the place you would be leading them from. So you have to actually craft a pathway from where they are positioned, where they are seated. And you have to put yourself almost inside of their brain, in their shoes, and you have to do this mentally. It's an exercise where you look at the person, you have empathy for the person, and you look at the world from their perspective. Okay, this person is married, they have kids, he has got financial obligations, he has got certain desires. What areas does he feel neglected? What areas does he want to improve? What are the things that this guy wants? Maybe that person is stuck in a job they don't like, and they're having one of these mood swings. And once you have that data, once you have that understanding, even a look at them will communicate that. It's so subtle that they would feel that you understand. You have empathy for their situation, and you not only see what's there in front of you, but you see the entire background that's going on in their life. Typically we see just the person, but we don't see the whole background of what's happening in their life. And I want you to look at them, relate to them from that whole background that they have in their life, and relate to them from that standpoint, and they will feel it. It's very, it's very subtle, but they feel it. Like, human beings are very sophisticated. So if you look at a movie, Kate Winslet is known to write down the whole background of the character. They call this layering in acting. They create layers behind that character where they write down the history of that character. Kate Winslet was saying when she was playing Rose in Titanic, she would write down her entire childhood, what happened in her life, what was she like. And all of this is not revealed in the movie, but she writes this background down, so that when she enters the scene, she's carrying that weight of that background. And there's nothing that is said, but just that background gets communicated. And And I have actually experimented a lot with this, and people see it through camera. Something about their eyes or face communicates that they're in that character. That's not Kate Winslet, that's Rose. I think that was her name, Rose, right? This is Rose. This is not Kate Winslet, this is Rose. This is a different character. And it's funny how we can change these positions just based on the background. Just like that, when you understand somebody, they will notice that you understand. Oftentimes, there have been moments where people look into our eyes and you can tell that they understand. They understand the age you are in, the position that you are in, the life that you've had. It's all written on your face. So when somebody looks at you for who you are and that whole background, suddenly they feel safe in your presence. That, okay, this guy really gets it from my standpoint, from my shoes. And if this person really understands all the variables in my life, or most of the variables in my life that makes my life and constitutes my position, and still this person is recommending this future, there has to be something to it. So that's establishing trust, and you have to maintain that trust. It's very sensitive to earn somebody's trust. So this establishes safety net and trust. And you have to make sure you have integrity. Integrity simply means that the future that you're proposing really does, what you said. To the best of your ability, you're leading them into the right direction. And you have all the good intention, because your interest is also talked about. It's also established that you have an interest in that. So you can also disclose your interest. There are no hidden agendas. You disclose your interest so they know, okay, this person is also benefiting, I am also benefiting, and this is the future that this person is leading me to. Now, just because they're sold on the future doesn't mean that they're going to be sold on the strategy that you propose, or the direction that you propose, or the course of action that you propose. One thing is the future, which is the outcome, and the other thing is the actions. Small actions that lead to this outcome. So there may be an agreement on the outcome, but there may not be an agreement on the set of actions that you have to take. And this set of actions is happening inside of strategy. Okay, the strategy. So you have to sell them on the strategy also. And you have to declare and disclose why you think this is an effective strategy. And have a little bit of a brainstorming session with them and cultivate and agree upon a strategy that is going to lead to this outcome in theory. So once you agree on the strategy and then the set of actions, boom, you've achieved an agreement. You've achieved a cooperation. Okay, you've set the tone of the conversation for many conversations to come, actually. So the direction has been set. Now there is something else which is called management. Now, once this tone is set, remember, this person has a life. They will go back, they will meet other people in their life, and they would get influenced. Their mind would get influenced. They would maybe share about this, and they will get new data. People in their lives would try to convince them about something else, or try to put things in their brain, and the person may get disturbed and may get actually misaligned with this future. Some emergency can happen, right? Something can change in this course of time. So you have to have another conversation, which is something I learned called a breakdown conversation, where you have a thought process as to what can go wrong. It's just, we agree on a strategy, we agree on the future, we agree on the actions, but let's play the scenario. What can go wrong? You have to anticipate it. Better to anticipate it than something happening just out of the blue. You have to anticipate it. Write things down. Okay, why this person may not pursue this action? These could be the reason. How can I empower, them to do that? How can I empower them to solve this issue so that, they feel comfortable and we are back on track. So that's, management of that whole process of leadership. So that's why you cannot just have one conversation, especially if it's a big enough future. If it's a small future, something that needs to be done in a day or in a couple of hours, you're not going to face a lot of challenges. But something has to be done. This is a long-term conversation. Something has to be done in over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Over that course of time, there will be many breakdowns that will deviate the person from that future and will affect the relationship. So you have to catch those early and, and manage and make sure everything is on track. And every time you communicate with someone, you have to put yourself in their shoes all the time, even when they're not listening. And most likely, if they're not listening, you're not listening to them, because they know that you're not listening, and then they stop listening to you too. So you have to ask them questions, and you have to detect. It's a process of detection. What happened? We agreed on this course of action. What happened? Can I talk to you? Something bothering you? Some emergency happened? What happened? And a lot of the times I'll take out my phone and I will write down the reasons. Sometimes it's a girlfriend or somebody. You sit down, okay, this is the issue, this is the issue, this is the issue. Is there any other issue? And then they will look around and they'll be thinking about the elephant in the room, something big. And you say, you can tell me, I'm here to solve, I'm here to make sure that both of us have this outcome, both of us get what we want, and I'm here committed for the future. What is it that went wrong and how we can fix it is all I want, Do you still want that future, by the way? Yes or no? No? Okay, then it's not a problem. Why is that? What changed? And if the relationship needs to be completed, you have to go separate ways, you go separate ways. You try to recover that relationship as much as possible, because, something about this future compelled both of you. So, how can you realign? If you cannot get a realignment, if something fundamentally has shifted, let them go. But if there is a concern that needs to be managed, please, let's put it on the table, come up with a solution, and have a complete open mind, because we human beings, we don't want to break our word. Something has happened. So let's look at it. What is it that happened? What happened? Oh, I met Pedro in the club last night. I fell in love. He was Colombian. I wanted to be with a Colombian man all my life. Okay, I understand. This will not work for me. Adios, bye-bye. Whatever the reason is. I don't know if it's Pedro or something else. But, you have to find, or no, something happened genuinely. For whatever reason, this future is not happening, or this is a concern that I have. I think we're going too fast. Why do you think we're going too fast? Because Susie told me. Okay, you want to live your life according to Susie? No. Is this your life or Susie's life? My life. Okay, we're back on track, baby. So this is the relationship metaphors work really well. You get my point. Same thing happens with even leading executives and things. Some things come up. They have questions, they have concerns, or they may be like, I'm facing some challenge. I'm sold on the strategy and the thing, but in taking the action, these are the challenges I'm facing. Perfect. I'm here for support. Tell me, what is it? Boom, 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 boom. This is this. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's put a strategy, structure in place so that this is airtight, and let's keep going. And then that's the process of management, right? And so this is a continuous process where you have to offer your leadership. You have to have an incentive in the future. A lot of the leaders, I'm guilty of this. I did a lot of leadership for free. I just gave my time away for free. And, the person got a lot of value. A lot of my friends that I directed, guided, made a lot of money because of me. And I got nothing from it. And in the end, I was resentful because, I was just completely exhausted. And they didn't reciprocate. They didn't do anything back for me. And that left the relationship strained, and I ultimately lost them. And they had complaints that I wouldn't do more for them. Even though I have done a lot, that I wouldn't do more. And I have no incentive. So incentive is very important, because otherwise one person, whether it's you or them, feels exploited. So you have to have a mutually it has to benefit the both, and then the relationship works. As soon as it benefits one person more than the other, or the balance is shifted, or one person is feeling more exploited than the other, it's over. That direction that you have taken is not going to follow through. You have to renegotiate. You have to do something to make it all right. Right? So these are general terms again, and this is a fundamental structure. So to summarize, you lead them from where they are, not where you are. Okay? You lead them from the challenges, the desires, the problems they have into a future they want and desire. And you have to have some kind of an incentive in that future. It doesn't have to be financial, but there has to be something that you both want. You're going together, okay. And you have to have integrity, meaning it has to be real. That future has to be real. If it's not real, if you catch yourself, you're being a little bit phony or fake, or you're making up a story, you're trying to make a la-la land that doesn't exist, or something that's not even valid, then catch yourself and look at, how can I actually make this real? Because whatever you're proposing, you're exaggerating, whatever you're doing. Okay, how can I make this real? How can I make this real? How can I make this work? Genuinely work? If I was this person, would I bite it? Would I agree to it? Why not? What's the fakeness here? How can I remove it and actually make it compelling? Really, sincerely, honestly. And again, just like I said, like Kate Winslet wrote the background, honesty and sincerity comes through when it's genuine, because people are smart. One of the reasons I don't lie anymore. In childhood, I lied to my teachers a lot because they were violent towards me. I had to lie. But I stopped lying is because I realized you can never get away with it. People are sophisticated. They can see you. They can just see it. So you have to be real. You have to be honest. And one of the feedbacks that I get from you, from people in my environment, is that you're real. You're real. You give it straight. You got to give it straight. Now the real challenge is, how can you be straight and then still have this compelling without exaggeration? And that's the challenge here, and it takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of thought. Whenever I have an important negotiation where when I'm structuring a relationship with a female partner, and it's going to be for a medium term, I sit down and I think about these things. I think about her age. I think about what she wants out of life, and I think about what the goal is here. And there was a relationship that I was in recently, and we're not together anymore, where we sat down and I asked, she was around 27, 28 at that time. And I said, when do you plan to get married and have kids? And she said, I plan to do this in my early 30s. And I said, I'm going to be in my late 20s and I don't want to do that. And then she said, so then what are we doing here? And I said, hold on a second. We still have a couple of years together. And you're going to be working, I'm working, and you were not going to have time to date and, find somebody, especially in Dubai, And she said she doesn't want anybody in Dubai. I said, so here I am, here you are. We have a couple of years. Let's cherish this time presently here. We'll have an amazing time. We'll create beautiful memories. And then at some point, we would go our separate ways. And no harm in that. So I actually established and declared that I don't have the intention of going towards marriage and kids. She appreciated that honesty. And what I wanted was a short period, but a very beautiful period. And that's what I could offer. And I convinced her that this period is going to be worthwhile. You will get a ton out of it. I've done so many courses. I would guide you. We'll work on things together. We'll work on your mind. We'll do things together, and we'll set the direction for your life. And as a result, she started a YouTube channel. She found a career that was something she was passionate about. She's still working, and I guided her with some courses and everything. And we had a nice, beautiful time that was honest. It was everything transparent. I got what I wanted. She got what she wanted. And, we went our separate ways. And that's fine. So you have to, the point I'm making is that I didn't have to tell her to be with her. I didn't have to tell her that I'm going to marry you and I'm going to have kids when I have no intention of doing that. I have no intention of doing that. So why would I say that? The question is, without going to that place, what can I do that will still be compelling and still make it work? And it took me a couple of days to think about it, because I had a meeting with her where we talked about this. She felt uncomfortable. Okay, if you're not going to that future, what the hell are we doing now? So I said, even if we don't go to that future, I promise you, this period of your life, you will miss it. I'm going to promise you, you will miss this period of your life for the rest of your life. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to have a life of its own. Not everything has to lead to marriage. Not everything has to lead to kids. This thing, our thing, is going to have a life of its own. And maybe afterwards we just be friends, and that's fine. But at least we got this. You have this in your hands. I told her, you have this in your hand. We have this time. There are hundreds of women I could be with. There are many men you could be with. But we are still next to each other right now. We see something in each other. We value something in each other. Let's have this time together. And that was my pitch. And boom, it was an agreed future, compelling. Both of us had an interest there, and it worked out. So just like that, in every relationship, every person that you connect yourself to, you have to be moving into a future that you want. And how do you align that? How do you put the incentive of the person in front of you in that future? How do you create an alignment and move in the direction together? It could be, you could do this with a group of people, you could do this individually, but that's the fundamental framework of leadership. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe button, comment what do you think about the video, and I will talk to you soon.